Hello everyone, it is me, Jadesimssss. Welcome back to my channel. Welcome to my channel if you're new. This is episode 3 of creating tiny towners here on my channel. So thank you guys so much for clicking on this video. This sim is Rowena Ramirez, or Rowena. I don't really know how to pronounce her first name. She has the style of Victorian Goth. She has the skill of writing and has the color of black, a pretty intuitive color. Back when I first decided to start this challenge, I immediately knew I wanted to create some sort of Gothic sim because I've never really tried too hard to make a Victorian Goth sim. I mean, all the Gothic sims I have attempted or have come close to have been more grungy rather than Gothic. So this was certainly a change for me, a welcome change, because I love experimenting with different styles, as is the point of this challenge. But upon further inspection of the Gothic style, I realized that there's way more depth to it than I had originally pictured. There are different subsects of Gothic fashion. There's cyber goth, punk, mall goth, new goth, the list just goes on and on. But from what I've read, the Victorian Gothic fashion that my sim has is kind of the most, I wouldn't say pure, but the original form of what Goth was supposed to be. Early movements of Goth took inspiration from the Victorian era, which is why we see silhouettes with corsets, we see some lace, we see a lot of black, and in some cases you see like very big, large skirts. My sim kind of combines New Goth as well because she's not always wearing a dress or a skirt, but her formal outfit is one of my favorites of the sims that I've created. But she also wears pants as well in her more relaxed everyday outfits, and also I think in her cold weather outfits. Her makeup is not of the traditional variant either. It is certainly more modernized, and she doesn't exactly paint her face white, but she is very pale. I definitely could have pushed the boundaries of her look more, maybe dramatized it significantly, but her features did not warrant more makeup. No one's features warrant more makeup, but I just didn't think it complemented more. It didn't necessitate more makeup, you know? I think her look was sufficient enough with the amount of makeup that I gave her. Anyway, I'm rambling about the makeup, but let's move on. And one of the reasons I settled on the writing skill for her, even though I debated internally giving her a music skill of some sort, I realized that Edgar Allan Poe wrote and lived in the Victorian era, and I feel like it was so perfect, especially because I haven't really tried out the writing skill too much, as you'll see as a pattern in all of these videos. So it was like a great coincidence that my sim enjoys writing and that I haven't really tried it out, and that it suits perfectly with her style. Just serendipity all around. Over the course of this video, you'll see that I experimented greatly with her look. At one point, her hair gave the scene fashion style, but I reserve that for a special sim who will also have that in the future. I don't know, for this series or whatever. I just know I want to keep that hair for someone who explicitly has a scene style. Back to her skills though, one of the reasons I want to give her a skill in the music department is because the origination of the Gothic subculture was from music. Within the 80s, I think the 70s and 80s, that's when its kind of resurgence began in the UK with some bands. According to Altitude Clothing, the dawn of the Gothic movement as we know today began with Bauhaus's Bela Lugosi's Death, a song often considered the first Gothic record. An entire generation was suddenly exposed to the presence of one of the founders of Goth, Peter Murphy. So I don't know too much about this Peter Murphy guy. If you're well acquainted with him, just let me know in the comments. I self-identify as a normie. Susie Sue is also another singer-songwriter who's partially credited with a resurgence in the UK, but there are other icons who are also attributed to the Gothic fashion, such as Theda Bara, Vampira, Amy Lee, etc, etc. I can't entirely credit everyone though, so if you know any more bits and pieces about Gothic fashion, whether it be modern or ancient, feel free to let me know. I am so open to learning more about it. In fact, learning more about it helped me decide the skill for my sim, so it was so much fun. One integral part of the sim's look were her bangs. I absolutely knew that bangs had to be a component of her hair. I don't know exactly why, but for me that kind of was an indicator of Victorian Gothic fashion. At first, I wanted her to have kind of vampiric bangs, though I found it didn't really suit her face shape too well. Also, her face shape was edited at the end. I don't know if it's really shown in this video, but in the beginning I gave her kind of very carved cheekbones to illustrate kind of that Victorian fragility. I wanted to show some variation in face shape because a lot of my sims have that very structured, sculpted, you know, snatched look, and I removed that skin detail from her that's contributed to that illusion, and she ended up having a softer face, if that makes any sense. In all of the hair changes that she had, the countless hair changes, too many that I had to cut almost like 5 minutes worth of it. Sped up footage, by the way. Bangs were just a constant for her. By the way, does anyone else get Jinx vibes from her face alone, not from her aesthetic, just from her face? I don't know why. I think it's mainly the nose and the lips that kind of give give me, actually no, I think it's everything, because Jinx also I think has wide set eyes, kind of a poutier, fuller lip, top lip, and like a narrower nose. I don't know. I think I was subconsciously inspired by Jinx. I love Jinx so much. I don't know if I've spoken about it before, but Arcane is, it's just such a huge heartbreak. One of my friends actually recommended Arcane to me, and I will not be afraid to admit it, but I watch cartoons. Okay, you can watch cartoons as an adult. And she's like, oh, you should watch Arcane. It's so, so good. And of course, I listened to her recommendation, and I could not foresee the destruction that Arcane would bring to me. The writers of that show must have been dropped multiple times as a child, because I don't know how you could ever write a story with such heartbreak. Speaking of writing, by the way, I think I'm going to settle with her being a horror writer, or in her early beginnings, a fanfic writer. That sounds so, so fun to me. One of my earliest ideas for this challenge as well was having a comic book writer, but that was just impossible with The Sims 4 without some semblance of mods, and I didn't want to do that. I just wanted to play what the game had to offer. And besides, I'm gonna have so much fun with her being a fanfic writer when she is just starting off, because a lot of fanfic writers are eloquent, poignant. Everyone has to have their humble beginnings. I just wish there was like some sort of forum that I could upload her writing to, and that she can kind of amass a fan base. Maybe I could like have that as a side thing for her. As she perfects her skills and her craftsmanship, I want her to be in the horror genre, or even like just poetry too, taking a lot of inspiration from Edgar Allan Poe. I don't know if I've mentioned that yet, but it's kind of an old-fashioned way to do this, but her style kind of dictated what her interests were. And I've read about that too with the origins of Goth, that having the Gothic style kind of dictated what music you listened to. Outside of that, you wouldn't really explore what was, you know, in your style. I can't really tell if it's making sense or not. Hopefully it is. I am going to need a lot of help coming up with original ideas, or maybe just ripping off titles from popular horror movies. Not movies, horror novels, or short stories even. Maybe I'll just take Edgar Allan Poe's old stories. All of them are old. Maybe I'll just convert them into The Sims, and we'll just kind of parody those. Any help with those titles will be welcomed, but maybe we'll just cross that bridge when we get to it. I wanted to circle back to her name, which was Rowena Ramirez. The first bit being her alliteration, but also her surname is Ramirez. And the reason I went with a Hispanic or Latina heritage is because of the Addams family, which are also a Gothic family. I guess that would be whom are a Gothic family, but a lot of Latinx people see themselves and their families in the Addams family, whether it be explicit like in the New Wednesday show or implied in the old media of the Addams family. I think it was the father of the Addams family. He was suggested to be Hispanic, and I thought it would be fun, you know, just to have that hint of representation, albeit her skin is very, very pale and her features aren't really non-Eurocentric. So I will admit that, but maybe you can see a little bit of yourself if you're Latino or Latinx or Hispanic. Just to remind you, this is the third sim of the series. There are 4 more to go. So if there's any style you want to see me create for any particular sim, any skill you want me to play in the Sims, or any color you want to see me put on a sim as a main focus, let me know as soon as possible before we get through all 7 sims. Although I've seen there are like 2 versions of the Tiny Town Challenge. There's like an apartment version. I don't know if I'll be tempting that. Let's see how the first one goes first. Don't want to drop the gun. I've seen the comments, don't worry, that you want me to make a sim that looks like Honora, and I will keep that in mind. I think she is Russian, like the actual person, the actress, Mikey Madison. I think she is Russian. Okay, I lied. I just Googled it just to make sure I wasn't spreading misinformation, but I think she is Ashkenazi Jew and said to have Polish, Lithuanian, and Russian Jewish roots. If that's wrong, I'm so sorry, but that confused me at first. I, like many, thought she was Asian. She and Miranda Cosgrove are Asian warriors who are actually not. They're imposters. One thing I can hint at is the next sim that you'll be seeing, or one of the next, will be a gay gym bro. That sounds so weird saying it aloud, but that's gonna be like the sole focus of his look. Okay, that sounds weird, but not his look, but the sole focus of his character. I think I'm gonna make him buff, or maybe I'm gonna have him like have some sort of transformation where he starts out this one way and then he evolves into this big burly man. I don't know. You can let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. One of the skills that I haven't tried yet that I'm pretty keen on is candle making. I don't actually know if that's a skill, but that might just be like an object that your sim can attempt. But I want to try candle making and some others from the eco lifestyle, because I'm going to be frank with you, I haven't played with much of that pack, even though I got it like a year or two ago. I know. So one of those I want to make, and maybe someone with a futuristic-esque style. That seems fun. Cyber-ish style. Who knows? Maybe an alien? How do you guys feel about adding a cult into this challenge? I'm not entirely opposed to it. In fact, I think it'll be really fun, but I don't want the Sims to appear like very gimmicky or costumey. Like, that's why, even though I could have like very much emphasized the goth of this Sim, I didn't want her to seem like a caricature, just like someone who could really appear in real life. Even though her fashion is kind of expensive, it looks like it is. And with their houses as well, although they have like a primary color, there will definitely be other colors that will help emphasize or bring out their central color, if you know what that means. So like Brittany Baker, her color is pink, but actually she might just have a fully pink house. So that's kind of like realistic nowadays. But in all, like blue house is kind of, you know, like I said, for Vance Lone, his color will be complemented by like a beige-ish color, things of that sort. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you want to see Rowena or Rowena's looks, just stay tuned to the end of this video, because screenshots of her looks, all of them, all of her outfits will be there. Thank you guys for watching this video. I don't know if I said that already, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye!